What's up, Vankas?
Hello, Venkas.
How is everybody doing?
Are you doing good? Not if your name is George Russell.
And his 7 fans.
But I'm one of them.
Yeah, I'm one of them too.
As George Russell, as this guillotine has been slowly being lowered on his neck, I've just been like, no, George Russell.
No.
Maybe I'm just suffering from British bias, but yeah, George Russell is having a rough week. We're in Silverstone, his home race. Lando Norris is already dominating the fan base, and on top of everything, the news has come out. Max Verstappen's team and Toto Wolff are in pretty seemingly serious discussion about his future as a Mercedes-Benz Formula One driver.
Yeah, and George is like, I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all. I'm going to be at Mercedes next year.
Yeah.
I'm going to be at Mercedes next year, and it's giving like in 8th grade when a girl broke up with me. I'm like, this isn't happening. I'm completely in denial about this. You're not breaking up with me. I will see you at the lunchroom tomorrow, and we will keep doing what we're doing, which is not talking to each other.
That's right.
And engaging in any way.
Yes. What type of just complete dissociation and avoidance? No. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. Lots of tests, lots of papers.
It's giving. He does look like one of the violinists on the Titanic. He looks like one of those guys.
Yes.
And he's giving one of those guys. He's just playing as the ship's going down.
Yes.
And it's ironic because he's only 7 points behind him. Everyone thinks it's 3rd or 4th. Like, no one knows the number. But if George jumps him, he might.
Right.
He's only 7 points. If George jumps him,
he might trigger his exit clause.
He might trigger his own demise.
This is a beautiful situation.
Yes.
That Max his out is that he needs to be in what, 4th place maybe?
Or 3rd. No one knows.
We don't know. It's unclear what the situation is with Max Verstappen. It's also unclear, who talked to who approached who.
Right. There's thoughts that, they were talking and then it broke off. And then now Max's team is approaching, being like, what's up?
Yeah. Well,
what's up? You up?
Yeah.
Hey, Toto, you up? And
Yeah.
Toto's always up.
Well, if Max shows even the slightest bit of ankle, Toto Wolff is slobbering all over him.
Well, also Toto probably when he puts his phone on Do Not Disturb, he has a few people that are allowed to break through.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
George is not one of those people. I think Kimi is one of those people.
Yeah.
And I think Max is one of those
It's
people.
like the scene in Entourage where they're in couples therapy and then the phone rings.
Yes.
And then he's like, it's the burner phone, baby.
Yeah.
Like, this is the D-Day phone.
Yeah.
No, Toto, this has been happening for months. It almost happened last year. It's been clear that Toto Wolff is obsessed with trying to get Max Verstappen. His attention and obsession with Kimi Antonelli is largely driven by his inability to get Max Verstappen on his team the first time round. And so now we're back in a position where Toto Wolff is obsessed with this idea of getting Max Verstappen. And I know that there's I'm conflicted about this whole thing because it's yes, Max Verstappen is the best driver in Formula One. He's the best of this era. He's a generational talent. But there just feels something about this whole thing that goes against Toto and Mercedes' whole ethos. Their whole ethos is we actually treat our drivers well over here. Not like Red Bull. Over here, we treat our drivers well. Look at the whole way they've treated Kimi. They've been waving the flag about how well they treat their drivers.
Yep.
And now it's like a situation, it hurts worse when someone you trust stabs you in the back, as opposed to someone you never trusted stabs you in the back. You're like, well, you were always, I never really wanted to even show my back to you.
Yeah.
But when someone you trust stabs you in the back, it's because you fucking trusted them. And Toto talks about this relationship with George. There was some clip that we were sent where he slapped Kimi Räikkönen, I guess, because Kimi Räikkönen insulted George.
But that was when George was the bright-eyed boy.
That's when he thought George was going to be his Max Verstappen.
Yes. Yeah. And I think some of this could have been avoided if Kimi was given a little more time in the lower formula, maybe at Williams,
right.
Just at Alpine. Then there'd be room for the two of them, and then George would. Then you'd have a super team,
right?
But instead, he's kind of accelerated the timeline on this thing, and now we're in a conundrum. He's in a conundrum where he's got 3 guys that he wants, but only 2 seats.
Right. And we talked about it on the last episode, but there's the situation where George and Max hate each other.
Yes.
So like, even if he wanted to keep George and wanted to put Kimi on a Williams or an Alpine and loan him out and give him a little bit more time, would it even work with Max and George on one team?
Right, because George has decided, I volunteer as tribute.
Right.
I am going to be the one that stands up to President Snow or whoever. Like,
Yes.
I'm going to be the Mockingjay. Why do I know this?
Because
you're
plugged
into the
fuck
culture.
in.
I plugged into the culture.
I mean, we've known this is going to happen for a long time. It's been flirting around it, and then the news comes out today. What everyone is saying is, where there's smoke, there's fire. Martin Brundle said that. Zach Brown has said that. Max Verstappen didn't give exactly a strong rebuttal when asked today whether his team was talking to Toto's team. It's because they asked him, "Is it true that your team is talking to Toto about next year's contract?" He goes, "Is it true? Is it true?"
It's such high school. It's like,
well,
did those 2 people have sex in the English room or not? Like it's like, well, define sex.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ, they did fuck in the English room.
Yeah, it's like Max Verstappen wanted to be like, "What is truth? Really? What even is truth?"
The correct answer is no, Max.
Yeah.
No, it's not. True.
Or yes, but it's actually like, seems like you have something to hide here.
Yes.
And he's kind of been denying you denied it last year that there was any validity to this. He's denied it again this year. And even if it doesn't happen, it's just it's a matter of when, not if.
Yeah.
And George's days on Mercedes-Benz as a F1 driver are limited. Whether he gets that seat next year is one thing, but Max Verstappen's going to drive for the Mercedes-Benz organization.
You know what's worse, though? It's worse when your lover tries to cheat on you and fails.
Right.
Like, Toto's trying to cheat on...
Toto's
trying to cheat on George.
That's what makes this whole thing feels gross to me. It's like he tried to replace George with Max last year.
Yeah.
He couldn't.
Yeah.
He tried to replace Max. He's trying currently to replace George with Max this year.
Yes.
And it's like next year, it's like, here's the thing. If George stays, that's all well and good. I just don't want to like see the buddy. Stop selling to me that they have some type of amazing relationship. This business is cutthroat. This business does not really give a fuck about loyalty.
Yes.
And so stop like shoving down my throat that like what they do at the Mercedes-Benz organization is different than what all these other teams do, because you're proving that it's not, and that's okay. Like, we saw what happened with Oscar Piastri. Oscar Piastri had a ton of reason to, quote-unquote, be loyal to Alpine, but Alpine wasn't being loyal to him. And then when he leaves, because that's the name of the game, they want to cry, like, how could you do that? It's like, no, this is what this game is.
Yes.
We're seeing it with Lando Norris this year. It's like...
Lando would have maybe not been completely foolish to expect some kind of deference from McLaren, but it's not happening. It's not happening.
It's what the name in the game is, which is all well and good. But I didn't just like act like it. Just don't try to sell me this false narrative that you care about. Yeah, I really care about the person.
Well, look, I mean, they wouldn't give Lewis a 2-year deal. I mean, once that happens to Lewis,
right,
it's over. I mean, I think actually what I've read is that wasn't Toto's fault. It was the board was like, Toto went to the board and the board was like, no, we're not going to give him all this shit.
Sure.
And so if that organization is not going to treat Lewis, not going to give Lewis what he wants, and it's just going to be like, you can go, actually.
Right.
What chances anybody have, really?
Yeah.
I mean, Lewis is the greatest driver they've ever had.
Yeah.
He's the best driver anybody's ever had.
And you could even say that was the board. This is Toto Wolff. This is his own. And listen, like, that's all. Well, it's Max Verstappen. I respect that, like, yeah, I want to have the greatest driver of our generation on my team. And like, I guess if that thing comes, you have to do that. But I think I've been saying this. George Russell has been having arguably the best year on the grid this year. He is right there with Max. And we talked to Tomo this week. Tomo was talking about Max has stated many times that like he doesn't necessarily want to be in Formula One that long.
Right.
Come 2028, come 2029, he's like, I don't want to be doing this till I'm 40. And
Alonso said that too.
I guess I kind of believe it more with Max. I just feel like Max, like I kind of believe him when he says that he like will do other shit. Yeah. And I think like a year like this, where this game is up and down. Sure, if he's on Mercedes and they're winning 7 championships in a row, I think he stays. But is he gonna like sit through a dark period of Mercedes? I don't think so. I think he fucking bounces. Maybe in 2028, 2029, and then it's like you've given up maybe the second best guy to Max Verstappen on this grid, who will seemingly, I guess what, George goes to Red Bull now?
Or Aston.
I mean, you'd want to go to Red Bull in the short term.
I don't know.
I think you'd want to go to Red Bull in the short term. It's a bigger gamble given past history. I know they have Newey, but like
they have Newey and they've got the Honda engine. I know, but they suck.
Yeah, but they fucking suck. So it's like it's a riskier move just in terms of like the current lay of the land to go there. Now maybe he sees
They're
something.
both gambles.
But like either way, George is like that. It's not a move that he would choose. He's going to have to make this decision. Vibe-wise, I think him at Red Bull would be amazing. I think him with Christian Horner would be amazing.
I think him and if Stroll left, him and Alonso would be a great team.
They'd be great. We know that they get on as drivers, but in terms of like it's Aston Martin, it's a British brand, but
no,
I just want to see them.
Him and Christian would be great.
Because honestly, for how psycho Christian is and how psycho Red Bull can be with that second seat, you know how they are with that. Like if you're their top dog, they treat you like royalty.
Yeah,
and like Mercedes has shown like that they don't. I mean,
they don't treat Lewis. They didn't treat
Lewis like loyalty. And look no further than Nico Rosberg, because there's a report. Nico Rosberg said to George last year in September of 24, he says, George Russell is not safe at all because Toto still wants Max and he will try again for 2026. Give up does not appear in Toto's vocabulary. So if Max does become available, and I do think it's a possibility, then it's a shootout between George and Kimi next year. And it's not a lot of pressure on George because he has everything. And it's a lot of pressure on George because he has everything to lose. He should be the one ahead because Kimi's 18 and completely new. It's not an easy situation for George. I mean, George is beating the hell out of Kimi this year. It's not even close.
He got pole in Miami sprint race. Right. How can you say that?
So it's like, so then you're in this weird position where it's kind of like, because I think what's happening with Mercedes does feel emotional. Like, it's actually not clinical, because the clinical choice is you just get the two best drivers and you'll be like, we'll work it out. I know they don't like each other.
Yeah.
But like if you're purely trying to go off like what's the best team that we can put in terms of talent,
it's George and
Max. But Toto has this emotional investment in Kimi, which I think is greater than his emotional investment in George, which has become clear. So he's going to like seemingly take the risk of keeping Kimi on, who's unproven. I know he's got a lot of hype, but he's still unproven, and bring in Max. And who knows even what that will do. We've seen what Max Verstappen does to second.
He'll destroy him.
Is it going to be good for Kimi Antonelli to have Max Verstappen as his teammate? It's never been good, I don't think, for anyone.
But I think what Toto would argue, it's kind of like time horizons, where Max will be the present, Kimi will be the future.
Right.
If Kimi is a completely damaged goods by the time Max is done with him.
Right.
So yeah.
In Toto's perfect world, he brings in Max. Max wins 3 championships and then retires, and by that time Kimi's as good as Max and Kimi takes the reins.
But we know how this works. By the time if Kimi doesn't unseat Max,
yes.
Like George was supposed to unseat Lewis.
Yes.
I mean, people like he beat him in the points, but he didn't dominate. Like he beat him in qualifying. He would pull some shit in the race. Lewis was always fucking around with setup. Like George didn't convincingly take over that team.
Right.
And that's when Toto goes, I need somebody else.
Right.
That was when Toto got the ick, I think.
Right.
Is when he crashed in Singapore. He made he made some mistakes in Canada. Things like that. I think Toto was like, this is not the future of my team. I think he made that decision.
Yeah.
He was it in Spa Was it in Spa? Was it when he did that risky strategy? He won. They took it away from him.
Yep, that was in Spa. Yep.
That was like that was when he. And then the Drive to Survive was like made it seem like that was when I knew.
Yeah.
Knew what? That George is a riverboat gambler and got that place taken away.
Dude,
from him?
George is actually Sonny Hayes. Bro.
Yeah,
George is ultimate.
George
Sonny
is
Hayes.
Sonny Hayes.
George is big time Sonny
George
Hayes.
is C for combat,
And he's ready for combat. This whole thing feels gross to me. And I don't know why I feel so emotionally.
It feels gross to you because of the hypocrisy. But it's standard. It's standard.
It's standard, but I feel for George Russell. And I feel like he gets so little sympathy. And at times from us, he's gotten very little sympathy because he presents as top boy and a guy who should get everything handed to him. But I guess I've seen him now suffer enough that I'm like, he's suffered enough.
Brian, somebody in the comments pointed out that you got to this is meta.
What?
You always got to find a victim and then defend them.
Yes.
You're like you're a superhero.
Sure.
Yeah. But that's your thing. You identify a victim and then you're like, I got to protect this guy.
I do feel that. I feel like an urge to protect George Russell.
Well, did you feel an urge when you saw the fucking Orange Army that descended in England? It's like Lando owns this town now.
He owns the UK.
Yeah.
And I feel conflicted because these are my two victims. But, it's like right now, in the UK right now, Lando is fucking dominate.
I got to ask, for all the UK fans of Lando.
Yes.
Let's wind the clock back. It's 1941. The Germans are trying to get control of the air.
Yeah, it's the raids.
Who are you putting in the cockpit?
Dude, you're
Are you putting in Lando Norris to try to, in the Battle of Britain, to control the skies, to keep Britain safe? Who are you throwing in there? Are you throwing in Lando Norris? Or are you throwing in George Russell?
Dude,
who is in that Tom Hardy seat? At what was that?
Dunkirk.
Dunkirk. Who do you want controlling the skies at Dunkirk? You want Lando Norris or you want George Russell? Lando Norris is a peacetime prince.
Yes.
But when you got to go to war, who do you want in that cockpit?
You want George Russell?
George
baby!
Russell. You know what he looks like? We've said this before. He looks like the guy from 1917.
Yes.
He's the guy you want running horizontally.
Yes.
Across the trenches.
Yeah, he's just. I feel like
he's
a
stiff
fucking
upper lip.
I think he's a fucking victim. I think that. I like within this context, within the sandbox of Formula
he's well
One.
minted.
He was a guy who was like highly prospected. He won F3. He won F2.
They stuck him in the kennel. They left him in the kennel, which is the problem. He got some ticks. They put him in Williams for too long. He came in 2020. He replaced Lewis when he had COVID. He would have won that race. He didn't win that race. That was the beginning of his fucking the power unit cuts out. Which who knows if that's fucking conspiracy because people didn't want to be like, no, George Russell and a rookie, he can't win in this seat. And then he gets there. Lewis is there. He's a rescue dog.
He's a rescue dog, but he's a rescue dog that was like told that he was going to be like win Westminster.
Yeah.
Like, or isn't that what it's called? The dog show?
Yeah. Westminster.
They thought he was going to win Westminster, and then he's been like kicked. This is the movie of George Russell. He was like, I'm going to win Westminster.
Yeah.
And then like he gets thrown off the bus.
Yes.
He has to like be in the streets, like, and becoming friends with the other dogs. They all think he's a pussy, but he actually proves that like he's just as tough as the other street dogs.
Dude, there's this tweet. The funniest people in the world are not in Hollywood. They're not in stand-up. They're on the internet.
Yeah.
There's this tweet that was like on a TikTok, and I just was uncontrollably laughing on a plane.
Yeah.
Dog shelters. Don't buy puppies. Consider adoption instead. Also dog shelters. This is Piss Fingers. She's 19 years old and can't live in a home with children, books, or electricity. Piss Fingers is nervous around hair and needs 400 acres of land and an orchard of extinct fruits. That's George Russell's.
Yeah.
He's Piss Fingers.
Well,
he was left in a kennel.
Yes.
Has trauma.
Yes.
And has got some quirks.
But right now, it's kind of proving that his time in the fucking like in the streets with the other dogs is like proven to be like he's better fucking for it. And then he's now on this team, and Kimi Antonelli gets to come in, who's just like primed and just like, oh, I've never had a bad, I've never had a bad day in my life.
George has got like his part of his ear chewed out like Evander Holyfield.
Yes. And now it's like he's stronger than this dog. He's faster than this dog. And then the other dog who was like alongside George. This is Max. This metaphor is going long, but it's this other dog that was also like they were in the kennel together. Be like, I'm going to be the championship of the dog show. No, it's me. That was him and Max, and now he's coming. Take his fucking seat. And George is once again going to be cast aside. And if it doesn't happen this year, if it doesn't happen this year, it'll happen fucking next year.
George is single and vulnerable.
Very vulnerable.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to happen?
50-50 this year, 100% next year.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's like 70-30 that it happens this year.
Unless Mercedes misses it.
Yeah, but I think that if everything, all what the common knowledge or what people think is going to happen next year, what everyone's saying is that the Mercedes engine is going to be fucking dominant. It's going to be an engine-dependent reg. And so why would Max want to stick around in Red Bull if he can see that writing on the wall? I think he's seeing that writing on the wall. That's why I think he reached back out to Toto and said, "Hey babe, I'm still interested." And now Toto's dropping everything for this to happen at Silverstone is fucking brutal. This game is brutal. There is no such thing as fucking loyalty in Formula One. For real.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to drop this notion.
Because everyone's trying to ship everybody. Everyone's trying to ship everybody all the time. These ships are bullshit.
What you can ship is a driver. What you can't ship is like a driver in their relation to a team. As much as I love Lando and Lando's relationship with McLaren, like you can't ship the driver-team relationship.
Yes.
It's not how this game works. It's not how almost any professional sport really works. But in other sports,
it's not how capitalism works.
Yeah. I mean, this is the most capitalist fucking sport there is. So I needed to get that out. This was a emergency episode because I just feel so bad for George Russell.
I feel so bad for Piss Fingers.
I feel bad for Piss Fingers. And Piss Fingers, we love you. Even if no one in your country or at the Mercedes-Benz organization does. We hear the red flags love you.
The disrespect that this country shows George Russell, the most British man to ever live. To not like George Russell is to not like yourself.
Right. They don't like that
I mean, Lando Norris, this guy that has a Belgian mother and is in touch with his emotions, like that's not you guys.
Right. Who's also, he's also posh. Yeah. It's like they don't like that George is like posh and shows it and is like, stunted.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't like, Lando Norris is the opposite.
George Russell's like, I'm just one of you guys.
And they're like, no, absolutely not. Well, if England doesn't love you, George,
nobody looks worse.
At the red flags,
you see George Russell trying to wear like the Chavy Adidas stuff? He looks with his Peaky Blinders hat. It doesn't
work. Doesn't work.
Yeah, get him back in Tommy Hilfiger. Bring Tommy Hilfiger back.
Get him on Christian Horner's estate and let him shoot skeet.
Yes.
So in that way, maybe it's a good thing.
Yeah.
All right, Venkas. Episode coming out on Monday. We love you.
Yabba dabba doo.
Yabba dabba don't.
Is it coming out on Monday or Sunday? We'll see.
Goodbye, Vegas.
Goodbye, Vegas.